I was suspended the first time for calling Emily Thornberry spineless. The second time, I was a bit of a whistleblower. And then the third time was during the general election. I said I'm not supporting the Labour candidate in Islington North. I was in the front page of the Tribune calling him a scab.
On Monday evening, your party announced its long-anticipated membership figure, standing at 50,000. The figure was well short of the 200,000 members expected by party insiders, owing to a massive 800,000 people having expressed interest when it first launched. It's fair to say the lower-than-expected figure has been taken as a warning that factional infighting and a strong Green Party leadership has damaged its immediate prospect. There is, of course, still the case of missing donations, with Sultana now in control of the £800,000 that she has assured Corbyn will at some point be transferred to the party as a whole. In Islington on Monday, the room was packed with former Labour members and voters. The worry is, can your party hold their attention if tensions continue?
Thank you, and thank you all for coming tonight. Thank you to all the volunteers that have worked so hard to put this event on, those that have done it online or giving out leaflets or putting up posters or inviting people to come along. Thank you very, very much indeed.
This is Corbyn's constituency, and it's clear tonight is really about him. There is a palpable lack of Zara Sultana. In fact, during a brief interlude, an homage to Corbyn rolls on in the background. One press officer is keen to point out to me this was put together by the local party and not your party officials, which possibly explains the opening cheers of Jeremy Corbyn and noticeable absence of Zara Sultana. All the more noticeable when Corbyn talks about his colleagues in the Independent Alliance.
It is a wonderful experience, and it shows how politics can be done differently, which is why I want us to do things rather differently. And we then decided, after the election and the election of 4 of my colleagues as independent MPs into Parliament, that's in Batley and Dewsbury, in Birmingham Perry Barr, in Leicester South and in Blackburn, where they all won as independents, and we formed an independent alliance group of MPs in Parliament. We come together initially on Gaza, and we come together on most other issues. It's an independent alliance of the willing on the issues on which we can work together.
Speaking to people that night, it was hard to find a fully paid-up member. It was also noticeable how many people admired the politics of Zach Polansky.
Sorry to say, but Starmer's killed Labour. He's killed the core ideology of it being a Labour Party for the people. It doesn't feel like it's for the people anymore. I think Zach Polansky's doing a great job, and it's very much leftist socialist speak, which is, I think, where most of us align to. I think the majority of us, especially if you're not political, we are just looking for somewhere that is kind.
I left the Labour Party because they don't represent me. They haven't represented me since Mr. Starmer took over. I'm not going to call him sir because I don't believe in all that sort of thing. And I think they've gone downhill. They're trying to ape reform. They're trying to get votes by being more like reform than reform are. And you can't outdo a Nazi by trying to be more Nazi than them. You've got to stand up and you've got to tell them they're Nazis.
I feel like we've not had a real left alternative boogie since the Greens. I see them with them. I feel like they were a bit slow to the mark, and I feel like the party is bringing a different energy. It is vibrant, there's young people involved, and yeah.
One thing was for certain, people shared a fundamental mistrust of Labour and a fundamental mistrust of the media.
We're being disempowered as people. We're being disempowered by the media. We're being disempowered by social media. And we're sort of told we don't really have any power to achieve anything. And that means that in communities all over the country, where children are growing up in desperate poverty, where housing conditions are appalling, where the health service is barely functioning, where there is depression, high levels of mental health conditions, and a lot of sadness, what then happens is Reform UK turn up. And what do Reform UK offer? They say, it's a great shame, you know what's caused all this, and then immediately go off into a tirade about refugees and people coming on boats from Calais, and set off a huge thing about the alleged dangers to our community of people that have made their homes here.
It feels like we're living in a bit of a dystopic nightmare, and when you've got a government full of human rights lawyers that lie, that are not holding up our human rights. We've got one that didn't pay her taxes. We've got another one that was lying about the football match and making, hooligans seem like we're all being anti-Semitic because we didn't want hooligans. This conflation of people's needs and musts with political party aims and objectives, I think people are fed up of.
When Keir Starmer quoted Enoch Powell about saying the country has become a country of strangers, I thought that was abominable when Powell said it when I was 19 years old in 1968. I think it's equally disgusting now, and it should never have been said, and it's language that should never be used. And so our job isn't to appease reform, our job is to offer something else.
The question now is, how is it going to work in practice leading up to the deciding November conference held in Liverpool, and will they be able to deliver the people-powered organisation promised at its outset?
If we could actually change it from this pyramidical structure of top-down or even bottom-up and change it more to a spherical structure, which is core aims and beliefs, maybe a code of ethics in the centre as the core, and then lots of satellites of like-minded people, because we all have our tribes. And I think first and foremost in this new political climate is being able to trust the person that we are calling to be our leaders. So to have that transparency and that trusting relationship comes in smaller groups. So to have a main core and lots of satellites where we all feed into that main bureaucracy what we want rather than it being fed out from there. It has to be a more symbiotic system where people can feed in what we need in our local communities, what we need in our local regions, what we want in our local areas, what we want our taxes to be spent on. We've been buying into a fallacy for way too long, and I think Zach has brought this up quite well, that, the economy is like balancing your household account. It is not. It is not. It is the opposite of that. The economy is here to make sure that we can live in safety and be productive and be prosperous. Once we have that base, we all feed into it and we make it work. It's not the other way around.